Going. Well, it's Victor Robert Farrell here from theway.co.uk, and we have a poet with us today. So let me begin by asking the question, who the heck are you?
I am Acacia Mitchell. I'm a young poet from Canada, and I've been living in Scotland for about 5 years. My family and I are missionaries here in Scotland, and we believe in raising up young leaders to help bring the gospel to the nations.
Missionaries in Scotland. Does Scotland need missionaries? Really?
It does, actually. We've looked at the numbers, and about 3% of people in Scotland believe the gospel, which we think is too low of a number to let sit.
That's pretty high compared to the rest of the United Kingdom, don't you think?
I think that's the UK as a whole, so I don't know what Scotland itself is, but...
Don't tell Miss Nicola Sturgeon that we're similar to the rest of the UK as a whole, whatever you do. Anyway, we're not here to talk about politics, we're here to talk about poetry. What's a Christian doing writing poetry? Why'd you get involved in that?
I think I got involved writing poetry when we moved over, and I needed a way to process emotions, and it grew from there, from reading the Psalms and reading other really rich Christian poets like George Eliot. I really love poetry and the emotions that you can put into it. So I think that's how I got into it.
So when you talk about you wanted to begin writing poetry as an emotional vent, do you need psychiatric help? Do you need
Probably
psychological counselling? Is this why you got involved in it?
Oh, maybe, who knows?
Yeah, I found with most poets that begin writing poetry use it almost as spiritual vomit. They kind of vomit all of their emotions out on the page there, and then they pick through it over the coming months and years, and it's amazing what they can find. I know it's a gory, horrible, disgusting, smelly picture, but really that's what poetry from the heart is like. Do you agree or disagree?
I do. I agree with that a lot.
So what have you discovered about yourself since you started writing poetry as a missionary here in Scotland?
That's a good question. I think I have learned that I have to intentionally focus on trusting God, and writing for me has been a way of doing that, because as a missionary kid, we've moved around quite a bit. And so poetry has been a way of intentionally turning my focus from, I feel a bit lost in this country, to what is God doing in this bigger picture.
Okay, so you started to write as an emotional vent. It's obviously progressed on from there. What's the next step on that poetic ladder you can describe to us?
I think I wrote poetry as an emotional vent, and then I started writing for other people. So when I was about 14, I had been getting a lot of good feedback and winning poetry competitions, and I went, I should probably practice, because it's like anything else, like an instrument. And so I asked my friends and family, can I write you guys poetry? And I think I ended up writing about 50 poems over the space of 2 months for different people, which, going through that, I can see now how much that helped me to grow in it.
So what do you bring to the poetic table that differs you from other poets of your age?
That's a good question, and one that's a little bit challenging to answer, I think.
Try your best.
I will try my best. I think I have experienced a lot, and I've seen a lot of different places. I've moved 5 times in the last 5 years. So I think perhaps what differs me from poets of my own age is that a lot of people have lived in the same place. So you've stayed with the same people and seen one perspective, whereas perhaps I've been able to see the world from other people's perspectives more because I've lived in more places.
Do you think you're beginning to process your poetic voice?
Can you define poetic voice for me?
Sure. It's that kind of oomph of who you are from your heart. It's the propensity, it's the totality of your being expressed in words, your poetic voice. It's something that defines you. It's who you is. It could even be who you are.
Oh, no, we wouldn't go that far.
But are you in process of discovering what your poetic voice is? I mean, can people, when they read your poetry or listen to you, say, yes, that's the young woman we know. That sounds like her. We're familiar with that voice.
I think so, yes. I think a lot of people who have read my poetry say this connects very strongly to my emotions in ways that I feel seen, has been a common theme.
And you've published a book. Tell us about that.
I have. I published a book called Waiting Spaces last month. It's quite short. It's about 100 pages. And it centers around this idea of not being in a specific place in your life, because I think our culture often tries to rush people to achievement, right? We go through high school to graduate, we go through university to graduate, you get a job so you can get promotions. But actually life is so full of in-between moments where you are painfully aware of the fact that you are in transition, but it does not feel like it is meaningful. And I wanted to bring out this idea of there being great meaning in the places that you're waiting.
Boy, that's a big old statement. Great meaning in the place that you are bleeding?
Waiting, sorry.
Waiting. Oh, I'm so pleased that you said waiting, because I think I'm going to steal that one. Yeah, I'm going to steal the one about the bleeding. I like that. I think I'm going to trademark that straight away, because that's a smashing little phrase.
I will not sue you for that.
That's good. Now, have you done a lot of performance, or have you yet to get into the performance scene with regards to performance poetry?
I have yet to get into the performance scene. I was looking at doing a bit just before COVID happened, and that kind of put a bit of a block in the road.
Yeah. And I think the next 6 months is going to put a further block in the road, but we're hoping together on theway.co.uk to have an online poetry meeting.
Yes.
Purple Poets, and we'll be telling you more about this when you can log on and share your poetry. We've got a particular way of doing it, which I'll let you know at the end of this wee interview. But to get back to our guest, her book's doing quite well on Amazon. How's it going?
It's good, yeah. It got to the #2 in religious poetry releases, which was quite exciting.
Well, that's absolutely fantastic, and you deserve a commendation and congratulations. Well done. Good job.
It's pretty exciting. I did not expect that.
So while we've got you here and you've got your book there, how about you sharing one or two of your poems with us? Would you like to do that? Would you honor us with that?
I would.
Thank you.
Gladly.
Go ahead, over to you.
Awesome. I will find one that I had in mind. This is called To the One Who Needs Perspective. I am so small, fighting to be hopeful, water drop in a bucket of grace. I am in this place solely because you decided that Earth should have a me, because you delight in making beauty reality. Here, the grass is greener when I choose to be content. I don't always choose to be content. It is a peculiar sort of disease that makes the eyes of a seeing person blind to everything that conveniences them. It is a belief that I am God and should be obeyed. It is idol worship in its purest form. Self, aid me. I am holy, all-powerful, consuming, and unwritten. Please remind me. Remind me to be small. Remind me that time is a measurement that I am held to and that it must be held wisely. So many things on this earth are small and important, and I am one of these.
Oh, I like that very much. Yes, I like that. Speaking as somebody who's only just 5'6 3/4, being small is quite an important thing to embrace. So that was super. I really enjoyed your reading that. Have you got one more for us, please?
Would you like a longer one or a shorter one?
I would like one that's on your heart. Just share it. Give it to us from your heart, whatever it is.
Fantastic. I like that. This is one called To Cherish Places and New Seasons. And my brother runs a video company, and we're working on a short video of this one at the moment. So just a little sneak peek.
Excellent.
Bittersweet sunset meets the horizon, and I realize it's time to move away. Sunsets fade, and so do memories. Revisiting this place means remembering not only the things that I wish I could forget, but also letting myself see the good. I'm not sure which hurts worse. Never seeing beauty or never forgetting it. Never letting it wash over your soul and ease your tired mind, or lying awake every night wishing that you could go back. They say that everything comes in time, but the longer that you watch a sunset, the more its colors blend and bend and mend themselves from one seamless skyline to another. Soon you can't tell them apart from each other. It's gone, and we say that this explosion of color has become less entrancing, more mess, something that takes more steps to find the allure and the peace and the rest. Why do we expect big experiences to be the most gratifying? Maybe, as this sunset fades from beauty and fire to the end of the day, you'll find, in deep hues of blue and small specks of light, it's bittersweet for old days to dim, but this time of night has its own glory.
Wonderful. From little people to big experiences. Yes, it's quite something when little people experience enormous changes and enormous observations. Thank you for sharing that. Listen, before we go, could you give the folks listening just your contact details now? How can they contact you?
I could. So I have a blog, which is called thoughtsfromatree.com, and I post there weekly. I also have Instagram, which is Acacia Writes Poems, and you can write me at acaciawritespoetry@gmail.com.
That's wonderful. And have you got a YouTube channel up yet?
I do. We're working on it. It's in progress. It is Acacia Mitchell. There will be more stuff coming soon to it. There's about one poetry video there and some songs, I think.
That's great, Acacia. And give us a final plug of your book. Show us it and tell us how much it costs and where we can get it from.
This is my book. I have a fantastic friend who did the art for it, which I really love. Waiting Spaces is for people who are in between, and we all are at some point. You can buy it on Amazon. I think it's £13 on Amazon, and I can't remember the Kindle price at the moment. Or if you would like a signed copy, you can email me at the address that I said, and I can arrange that as well.
Well, thank you very much, Acacia, for your time today and this interview, and look forward to hearing more of your poetry online at the Purple Poets Club. We'll be giving more information on theway.co.uk about that. Basically, we're inviting poets to join us online as a Zoom meeting. And our methodology goes something like this. Number one, you're allowed no more than 30 seconds to introduce your poem when it's your turn to speak up. Number two, you then perform your poem. Number three, you then zip it, lock it, and throw the key away while you listen to the response of your listeners to hear what they think about your poem, how it impressed them, how it didn't impress them, how it moved them, how it didn't move them, how it confused them, how it clarified things for them. You have to listen, and that conversation will go on for about 5 minutes. After that, we will get back to you, and you will then be allowed to share a little bit about your poem and its background, more than 30 seconds, probably no more than 3 to 5 minutes. And then, and this is the key, you will perform it a second time after you've heard all of the feedback from your listeners. And it works very, very well indeed. And I can say consistently, having done this for many years, that the second reading of the poem is always far, far better for the poet once they've heard the feedback from people that have heard it maybe the first time. So we look forward to, well, for you poets to joining us at the Purple Poets Club. And we'll be sending you more details. We're putting it on the way.co.uk website, and we'll get you the Zoom meeting details there. Finally, Acacia, thank you so much for your poetry today, and we wish you well, and congratulations on being number 2 on Amazon. Fantastic. Well done, and God bless you.
Thank you for your time.